All right, on this episode of the LPDS, we get into a few LPDS current events, both in the beginning and as part of the Junction. We got another bit of a potpourri episode with a couple of different topics we want to hit in preparation of a big road trip. All that plus a very, not bittersweet, but it's a good Cage fact. We'll talk through it in the into the Cage segment. All that's coming up right now. All right, Jabronis, we're back. Welcome back to the Libretti Podcast Diary Show. I'm your host, Libretti. It's a show that talks about nothing but tries to find the lessons in everything, and we have a good time doing it, share some laughs, and try to be entertaining for everybody. At least I entertain myself anyway. Hope everybody had a good week. If you did, hit the hotline and tell me about it, 202-670-1114. If you didn't, tell me about it. Vent to me about it. 202-670-1114. That's the hotline. Call it in. We'll talk about it. My week was good. Wasn't a bad week. I'm trying to rehash in my brain real quick what went on. I had some good calls that helped with, spearhead leadership stuff. I had some good meetups with people in regards to Spearhead. Excuse me. So that was nice. And I'll talk about a little bit of that in the Junction during potpourri time. And trying to think what else. I was just doing stuff to get ready for my road trip. So by the time this posts, I'll be on the road. Okay? Now, where do I have this? What section do I have this in? We'll talk about it later. I'll be on the road by the time this posts. But this past week, I've been preparing, getting stuff ready, getting lists, organized to get, it's only a couple weeks, but it's a road trip. So it's there's logistics involved and all that stuff. So, we got to prepare accordingly. We'll talk about that a little bit here. I'm getting ahead of myself. I do want to talk about something we discussed previously in the current events world. This is more like LPDS trend world, if you will. It's not LPDS trends. It's, we just talk about trends. We don't participate in them. We either set them or talk about them. We don't join in on already recognized trends. That's not what we do here. I am not a trend guy. Look at me. I'm not a trend guy, and I'm fine. I'm happy about that. I'm not saying I'm trying to be or anything like that. I'm always behind the eight ball on that stuff to begin with. So, excuse me. Whoa. I don't know what's going on. I got a frog in my throat a little bit today. I got marbles in the mouth as usual. And I'm scatterbrained. My brain right now is focusing on trip prep, spearhead stuff, other stuff we'll talk about. So I got a little bit of a noodle brain going on right now. So I apologize. We'll get through it though. We'll get through it together. Anyway, we talked about the trending phrase demure, that thing that's been on TikTok that blew up all over social media, mainly with women putting it in posts and saying it, and now translating it, spilling into dating apps and what have you. It's the phrase, very mindful, very demure. Last time we talked about it, I forgot the first part of the phrase. It's very mindful, very demure. I don't know how any of these things start. I don't know who's doing it, or if it's just a random video, like nobody's intentionally trying to do it. It was just a random video that popped off, and now everybody's saying it and adding it to making it a lifestyle, a personality trait. So I will say this, though. This is what I'm happy about for this particular one, because the majority of the people using this phrase. I'm not trying to single out women. I see everybody doing it. It happens with all trends, especially when it comes to wordplay and word use in trends, and not just fashion trends or things like that, but especially when it comes to slang and words and this and that. The vast majority of these people don't know what the words mean, and don't even look them up or try to change the definition because they can't figure out how to use the word correctly. So it's been annoying for this particular trend. They've done it with non-trendy things and it's just changed definitions and stuff. Politicians do it all the time. The media does it all the time where they use a word in a different manner to take jabs at their opposition. That's a tactic they use. Stupid people in the past and correct, let me know if you've heard this one before. I bet you some of you have used this word or heard people say this. The word peruse. Now, again, this is not a trend I've seen on TikTok or anything, but how many times have you heard people say the word peruse in a sentence or phrase, or have you yourself used the word peruse when talking about something? When you're reading through an agreement, like the iPhone agreement before you click and sign. Most people don't read that. They'll say like, "Oh yeah, I perused it," suggesting that they just scan through. "Oh yeah, I perused through this pamphlet and this book. So far, so good. I'll go through it more." Peruse, the actual definition of peruse, and I don't know if it's officially been changed, but the actual definition of peruse is the exact opposite of just flippantly scanning through something and browsing real quickly. Peruse means to deep dive. It means to deep dive heavily into the material. Every word is read and comprehended and understood and questioned and what have you, and you become sort of a mini expert in that particular thing that you're reading, that topic or that story. You gain knowledge from that because you're deep diving into this. You're perusing. You're getting down and dirty with it. And it started with one mentally lazy person deciding to not realize what the word actually means, and it set the stage for everybody using it incorrectly. And I remember this distinctly because I'm a bit of a mental case. We all know that. But I remember distinctly freshman year of high school, fall of 2001, fresh off of 9/11, never forget. And in our English class, we had vocab day. And our English teacher, Mr. Berman, one of the words was peruse, and he made it a point to remind us young men that when people use this word, you're often going to hear it used incorrectly. Make sure you stand up for what's right and just in the Webster Dictionary world and use it the right way. That's the thing with English teachers, grammar teachers. There's it's black and white. Grammar is pretty black and white. It's confusing on the English language, but the grammar portion and the correct use of definitions is pretty self-explanatory. Now, I'm not talking about pronunciation of words here, folks. I'm not talking about the fact that the word ear, E-A-R, sounds like ear, but you add a B at the end, and it's not beer, it's bear. I'm not talking about that malarkey of the English language. I'm talking about the grammar portion and the definitions of words. Those are a lot more black and white than pronouncing words, pronouncing how letters in conjunction actually sound. Definitions of grammar are pretty self-explanatory, a lot more black and white. And English teachers stick to that for the most part. I don't know how they feel about the use of, the pronoun stuff that's going on these days where I identify as she, they, he, her. grammatically, that's a nightmare for people. So I don't know. I feel for the English professors and the teachers out there who might be losing their minds over that because grammatically, none of that makes sense. But I digress. Peruse is a word that's often incorrectly used. More, it's almost 100% misused now. And like I said, I don't know if they change the definition. That being said, demure has also been taken on the incorrect sort of terminology. People are just using it just to put it in their bio for their profiles or putting it on videos for TikTok and Instagram engagement. And I'm happy to report that the internet community is already tired of it. They're calling it out, just like we sort of did. I was more questioning it of like where this comes from because it's a trend. It's going to go away. I don't care that much. It's not hurting anybody. But it has become annoying. Since we last discussed this topic, it has become rather annoying that people just just blindly take something on without knowing anything about it. Just because it's popular, they're just putting it in, they're making it a personality trait. That's something I just don't understand. I don't understand who the arbiters of cool are and why they have so much influence and power over the rest of us. One jabroni uses that phrase, and now everybody is just blindly following suit. They don't know what it means. They don't use it in the correct connotation. They just slap it on a video where they put it in their profile bio that says one thing you should know about me, and it says a random fact I love, very demure. That's not a fact, you bozo. Everybody knows that's not a fact. You just had to insert it in there because it's a popular thing. And I got news for you, folks. It's backfiring on you. Now you look like a dimwit. Every time I see that in profile, it's almost as bad. Stuff like this has become almost as bad as when I see people in dating profiles or in real life, women and men. If you're wearing Jesus sneakers, you know, the sandals that wrap around your ankle and they Velcro strapped around, and some of them have different rainbow colors. Not rainbow colors, multicolor, I should say, like red, green, and purple. It's not, purposely a rainbow, but it's different color schemes. I don't want to get the Alphabet Mafia on my ass for many reasons. Once I see people wearing those, if they post them in their dating profile, if they're outside wearing them, a guy I see wearing them, that's it. You're done. Unless you're Marissa Tomei, I'm swiping left on you. I'm not engaging in conversation. You're not somebody I want to work with or associate with. There is something about your thought process. It just says a lot. That's what I'm saying. There's something about you as a person who looks at these and says, yeah, this is what I need in my life. Now, I know a lot of those people are just blindly following a trend. That's how it is. They're following anything. Whatever is popular, whatever they see a lot of, they're just going to do to follow along. They're followers. They're sheep. Got it. That's whatever. I want to associate with many of those people to begin with anyway. But that one in particular, the Jesus sneakers, we talked about it. It's a Stugotz of the week from years back. It's been a hot topic on the show for years now. Anybody I see wearing those, unless you're the hottest babe in the world, I'm swiping left on you. And unless you're Thor, I'm probably shying away from associating with you, doing business with you, anything like that. Or maybe I take you on as a client to help you train to become a better leader, to realize this is not it. This is not the way to go. So now when we see things like this, like these trendy TikTok-y phrases and things like very demure, or in the DC world, everything was spicy margaritas. If you see that, I'm basically swiping left. Most people are now. I'm not just saying cater to my liking. It's a popular issue now. That's why we're talking about it again, because the big dogs in the influencer community, the internet community, the ones with actual credibility, have all come up and said that I haven't seen a podcast or listened to a reel from these big wigs in the internet world that have liked this new trend. They're tired of it. They're over it. So when you see it out in the wild, we got to stomp it out now. It's done. Get rid of it. Get it out of your mouth. Get that phrase out of your mouth. It doesn't make sense. It's stupid. And in the words of some of these other people who love using this phrase, it's giving the ick. And I know that's probably two separate trendy phrases that don't belong together. And I don't care because I don't like those either. The ick is just like, you sound like a child when you say the ick. It gives me the ick. You're 37 years old. You're 30, so you're an adult. Okay? Stop doing that. There are plenty of other things that you can act like a child about that are acceptable. When you talk like a child, that's not acceptable. Go play video games. Go do adult coloring books in your spare time for the therapy. That's great. I got somebody sent me a couple of coloring books when I was deployed to keep my mind off of war. It didn't work because Sargy loves war. But I appreciated it. I appreciated the sentiment, and I don't have any problem with it. I know people do have a problem with that. I don't. Couldn't care less. They're nice. It's therapeutic to color and draw and stuff like that. I draw. But when you start talking and sounding like a child, that's the ick. That should give you the ick. It gives me the ick. And then the whole it's giving, and then it's a grammatically incorrect sentence. It's giving sheep vibes. What does that mean? What's it's giving? Stop it. Just stop that. So I don't care that I'm using those phrases incorrectly. I want them gone too. And so and same with very demure. We're done with it. We're cutting it off, folks. If you see something, say something. You heard that phrase before? Let's keep that in our mouths. If you hear somebody talking about this trending garbage, stomp it out. Get rid of it. And I'm happy that we weren't the only ones. We talked about it first. We brought it up first as like, where's this coming from? And then the big dog stepped in and said, we got it from here, Junior, and that's fine by me. I'm a good junior. I'm a fourth. I'm better than Junior. I know exactly what needs to be done as an effective underling, if you will, in Legacy. And the big dog said, thanks, Junior. We got it from here. And I'm on board with it. You got it, fellas. Get rid of it. Anyway, moving on. Real quick. Yankees updates. It's baseball season. I love baseball. You know I love baseball. I love the Yankees. I hate to see them stink. This is going to be a quick update. They still stink. That's basically it. Aaron Judge and Juan Soto are the mainstays. I have to give props to Austin Wells so far that he's having a phenomenal second half of the season so far. And he's still getting disrespected when they put Trevino in, who I don't mind him, but you got to stop it already. That's basically the Yankees updates. Everything else has been so inconsistent. They lost the series to the Nationals. They got shut down. They won the first game, and they got absolutely embarrassed the next two because lefties pitched. Yankees can't hit lefties. It doesn't matter. You can learn to throw lefty this week, and you'll be able to beat the Yankees right now. That's how embarrassing that is. And I was just watching the game earlier against the Cardinals. I think the Yanks won the previous night when I watched them. But this game here on the weekend, it was 1-0 Yanks. I take the dog out. I take Randy out for a quick pee. Just a quick how you doing. Get some sun. We come back inside. It's 4-1 Cardinals. The pitcher for the Yankees gave up 5 straight hits. And it had to have been on first pitches because it was Randy is not a long peer. He's a no-nonsense pisser. He goes out there, he does his pee-pee, and he's back inside. Unless we're playing outside, and then he knows the difference. He knows about time to play and time for business. And this was business because we had to get back inside. I wanted to record. I have other stuff going on. and Randy knew it was business. We get back, and apparently the Yankees didn't know that this was business because they tried to pull a fast one on us and lose the game in 5 straight pitches. So I really would love for them to win the World Series this year and shut up myself and other people who think they stink. I'll be jumping up, and I'll be the first to say, if the Yankees win the World Series, I'll be jumping up and down, saying the same thing I always do. Never a doubt in my mind. I knew they were going to win it the whole time. This and that. Same old song and dance I always do. I want to be able to do that song and dance again. I want to be able to do that song and dance. It's been far too long since, as a Yankees fan, I could do that song and dance and really piss other people off, the anti-Yankee folks. I want to do that again. And I don't think it's going to happen this year, unfortunately. They are who we thought they were. So that's the Yankees updates. Moving on, more important, crazy stuff going on here, folks, that nobody seems to be talking about. A couple of people I've seen talking about this. It's wild how they're just rushing past this story like it's nothing. Some of you may not even know what I'm going to be talking about. Some of you might. Some of you may not. 2 astronauts went up a couple weeks ago. They launched to go to the International Space Station. They were supposed to be there for 8 days. That's a week and 1 day. 1 full regular week, not a business week, a full regular week and 1 day. And then returned back from the space station back to land, back to Earth. They launched to the International Space Station in a Boeing Starliner rocket, space shuttle, if you will. A Boeing shuttle. The shuttle busted. Okay? And it didn't just bust. The ineptitude and complete total loss of purpose and lack of standards and years of corruption and profit mongering and not caring about quality at all has led to Boeing not being able to bring them back in time. So much so that these astronauts now are not slated to return back to Earth until February of 2025. Now, I'm not a smart man in a lot of regards, but help me do this the small math here. We are in the beginning of September 2024. We have a full month of September to go. September, October, November, December, January, February. 6 months. This was supposed to be a long week trip. This is a week down the shore for any Jersey family in the 90s and early 2000s. 8 days. A day for travel, a morning for travel, and then an afternoon and at the end of the week for travel. And then 7 days down the shore, hitting the boardwalk, eating waffles and ice cream, going on all the shitty rides. Dante's Inferno, all-time ride. Don't know if it's still there in Wildwood, New Jersey. One of my favorite boardwalks to ever go to as a kid. All that. Grab the 2 pennies and a quarter, and you press it in the little boardwalk. How you doing? So you get the long penny. That's what we lived for. That's what this was supposed to be, an 8-day trip down the shore. And now they're going to be stuck there for 7 months, really, because they're already up there. Plus an additional 6 on the projected timeline that they're going to get back. Because NASA has now basically fired Boeing and said, we don't trust you to fix this. They went to Elon Musk, and I know all the super lefties hate Elon for some reason, but they turned to Elon Musk to create, to build a shuttle to save these people, to get them back. Now, I don't know what they're going to do. They did not plan to have these 2 extra people on the space station for 6 more months, 7 months. So I hope they're figuring out ways to bring food and supplies and sustenance to them and clothes and adjust, toilet situations and what have you. Because they're in space. Okay? You can't just go to the local grocery store or call in an Uber Eats to come bring in food. Oh, yeah, we got extra people. We better order more food. They're in the middle of nowhere, the literal nowhere of the universe, space, in between everything. And Boeing couldn't give a shit less. Boeing just launched their shuttle, their shit shuttle, back home empty. And they don't seem to care. They haven't done one thing to actually show, not one action to show that they gave a shit about anybody. These astronauts, the passengers on the planes that they fly and build, none of it. And if somebody speaks up who has any sort of evidence to back up and defend the claims of corruption and cutting corners and doing seedy illegal stuff, those people just randomly die at an inordinate rate right now. An absolutely wildly fast pace. These people are dropping dead random, all coincidentally dropping dead randomly. That's how Boeing has responded to the years and years of sacrificing quality for profits. When is it going to stop? We have people trapped in space. Now, the media is not talking about it enough. It's a throwaway topic in between the bullshit that they try to make us think is important. They have throwaway topics. They have the big stuff that they think that we need to care about, which is really not true at all, ever. It's never important stuff. And then they have stuff that they don't care, like they don't want you to care about. You notice how, this is a tinfoil hat, you notice how the Trump assassination attempt hasn't been discussed at all in the media? That died. That's the craziest thing ever right now, next to the astronauts being stranded in space. And these are throwaway topics. Oh, yeah, by the way, 2 astronauts are stuck in space for 6 months. They're stuck in space. They're not trapped in an elevator. They're in space, the final frontier. Emptiness. No gravity. Special toilet. I can't imagine having to take a dumpy over there in space. Probably just diaper up. Hopefully they use the disposable diapers we had at a sponsor a few years ago, or the reusable diapers. Those are pretty good. Anyway, that is one of the craziest things I've heard, and the craziest part about it is that nobody seems to think anything of it. Nobody seems to care. It's just like, oh yeah, that stinks. Moving on. When's the debate coming up? When's the next interview? When's the next rally for these What? We have people trapped in space. Think about that for a second. Think about the times any of you or people you know got stuck somewhere, anywhere. Locked in your car as a kid. Locked out of your house. Locked in a room. Stuck in an elevator. The stairwell, whatever it is, fall into a well. Think about that experience you had. Now do it in space, where there's nothing. There is no signs of human existence at all, except for the station you're stuck in. Maybe there's other humans in the space station with them. Don't know for sure. They're all in there. That's it. That's it. That's all they got. It is the loneliest island possible. At least on a desert island like Castaway, there's food you can forage for potentially, or fish you can go after. You can learn how to spear fish and catch food and sustenance. You could figure it out. You could eventually build a raft with your volleyball to get out of there and escape on your own. You can't do that in space, folks. Can't do it. You have to rely on the people the beings of this now distant planet that you're not physically on. It's a planet that you're not on. You have to rely on them to help you get home. They're just trapped out there. And people are acting like this is no big deal. This is just, we'll just call the fire department, hit the little red button in the elevator, and someone will be there in a few hours to jaws of life the thing open, and you'll be fine. Identify a piss corner and don't sit there. It's absolutely crazy to me. And Boeing there's zero accountability for them. And I used to love Boeing. And I've said this before. They built my favorite aircraft, the 747. Not the fighter jet. F-16 is my favorite fighter jet of all time. But regular aircraft, the 747. I've had dreams of flying that plane since I was literally in kindergarten. And I remember them vividly. And I've discussed this in the past. And now talk about a far fall from the top. They're now stranding astronauts and putting people's lives in danger on a regular basis and don't give a shit. And if you call them out, if you're a prior employee and you call them out, you're dead. Sayonara, sucker. That's that. Luckily, I'm not important enough to them. I'm just a jabroni here, like everybody else. All the 15 other listeners here, the LPDS, we're good. I feel safe because nobody's gonna listen. They know I have nothing to hurt them with. I mean, that's just a sad state of affairs, though. We got people trapped in space. Imagine how scary that is. And then they have families at home, some of these people. Now they have to tell their spouses, hey, you have to be a single parent for 6 months against you have no choice. You didn't want this. I was supposed to be home in a week. You didn't want this at all. You had to go do everything. And luckily, maybe NASA will still keep paying our checks, our salaries, because this is not our fault. So you'll have the money and finances, but you got to take care of the kids. You got to get them to school. You got to get them back. You got to get them to sports. You got to clean the house. You got to get them showered and clean, get them to bed every night. You got to do all this by yourself, solo. And I should be home in 6 months. We'll see. It depends if Elon Musk has the time to build a good enough quality rocket shuttle that won't blow up in midair to be able to get us back. So hopefully 6 months, maybe a little longer. We'll see. I'll keep you posted. These people should never have to pay taxes again. Just like Armageddon. Never have to pay taxes again. We make it back. You don't touch a dime of my money for the rest of existence, no matter what I'm doing. Investing in stock, no capital gains, no property tax, no income tax, no unrealized gains that some politicians want to enact, which is crazy because they want to tax not real money you don't even own yet. They want to tax you for it. Talk about theft. These people should never have to pay taxes again, at the very least. They just got imprisoned in space for no reason other than complete, total lack of competence and care and couldn't give a shit less attitude by Boeing. Wild stuff. I can't get over it. As a space fan, as a child, I loved space. I wanted to be a spaceman as well. And I got news for you. If I did follow that track, I would be a spaceman at this very moment. This is the age range around where I would have done long enough, taken the steps necessary to become an astronaut. That could have been me up there. Mind-boggling. Anyway, moving on. We can get into the good stuff now. Hopefully it's better stuff than finding out 2 astronauts are trapped in space for months. I don't know. It's crazy. Anyway, I'm blabbering. I'm flabbergasted. I'm flabbergasted by this. Let's get into the good stuff, though. We'll step into the cage.
Okay, let's run.
All right. Today's Into the Cage segment is proudly sponsored by Military Monopoly. This is going to be bad. Do you enjoy a competitive game of Monopoly with your friends or family, but you're bored with the original game and looking for something a little bit more edgy and realistic? Then get yourself the all-new Military Monopoly today. From buying up utility oil fields to putting bases on third world countries to up the rental payments and exert force on the surrounding nations to collecting $2 billion when you pass go, Military Monopoly has it all. And if you wheel and deal the right way, you'll get the prized nuclear option to obliterate your opponent's developing nations. Just don't roll the dice poorly, otherwise you'll have to go right to Guantanamo Bay. So to finally get a chance to serve your country proudly and decimate your enemies for years to come, visit www.moneymarker.com and use the promo code ILOVEWAR for 29% off. These are the sponsors, folks. Military Monopoly. Anyway, Cage fact. Everybody knows Nic Cage's passion for comic books and how he always wanted to play comic book heroes or comic book characters, and he's done it in several cages. He's got Spider-Man Noir coming out pretty soon, maybe within the next year or so. The live action series. I'm very excited for that. One of the roles that he was in line to play, he was asked to play before this character actually got the role. This actor got the role. Nic Cage was asked to play this role, but he couldn't because of scheduling conflict at the time. He had other obligations. He signed on to other movies and performances or whatever, and he doesn't go back on his word, even if he knew the movies he signed on for were not going to be as good or successful, whatever. He was a man of his word, and he stuck to his obligations, which you got to respect. But he was asked originally to be the Green Goblin in the first Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire and James Franco. He was going to be the Green Goblin, Dr. Norman Oswald. Osgood Schlatter. Now, I will say this. Willem Dafoe is a tremendous actor, and he plays an even better bad guy, a better villain in movies. I love that guy. He's great. He's great. And I heard he's absolutely hung like a horse. And so good for him. And he also played a great part as the Green Goblin. He was tremendous. I want you to kill Spider-Man. Tremendous. But imagine, again, this is the great thing about Nic Cage. You could pick any role in the history of movies. And then you can have the fun mental exercise in your brain about imagining Nic Cage playing that character. And how wild and different and tremendous it would be to get that role through the eyes of the Great One. So imagine Nic Cage as the Green Goblin in Spider-Man. That would be wild. That would be tremendous. Dafoe played a great part. He's phenomenal as well. And he has his own little edginess and wild cardness to him, which is great. That's what makes him, very good. But it's just not quite the same as Nic Cage's version of anything. I know you're all sitting there imagining what Nic Cage is going to do to the John Madden role. And that's exactly my point. That's exactly what I think happened here. The director or the casting manager, whoever is in charge of picking roles for movies and stuff in these production companies, I know that guy was sitting there thinking the same exact thing. like there's a number of people who would really nail this part. And you got guys like who's the dude from Mad TV who does all the impressions? Man, I forgot his name. Hefty guy. He does a great John Madden impression. Man, I forgot his name. It's gonna haunt me now. What the heck was his name? Frank Caliendo. Frank Caliendo from Mad TV. He does a phenomenal John Madden impression, voice wise. So you could pick a lot of people to play that role pretty well. But I know this guy was sitting there thinking, I wonder what the Great One can do with this role, with this character. Because we know how John Madden was. This is not a fictional character. We know the character of John Madden, the goofiness, his success as a coach, his quips and phrases as an announcer, as a play-by-play guy, the father of one of the greatest sports video games of all time, Madden. So endless possibilities with how he could do this, and I know that casting director was like, let's give the Great One a shot. Let's give him a go. You want to make this movie? You want to get eyeballs on this movie? That's the guy to make John Madden. And that's what I do for everything. So when I read about Nic Cage being the Green Goblin potentially, that's all I did was thought. I almost want to rewatch the movie and try to guess what I think Nic Cage would have done in certain scenes and how he would have reacted. We'll never know, unfortunately. But he's got Spider-Man Noir coming out. He's working on that now, so that's great. Plus John Madden and all this other great stuff he's doing. So there you have it. That's the Cage fact. Moving on over to the Junction, we'll spin the logo up. Again, there's not really a big topic here. My brain has been frazzled. Is that the right word? Probably not, but we're going to go with it. I've been thinking about prepping for my road trip and Spearhead stuff. I haven't done a lot of social media posting for Spearhead. I've been doing more of the prospecting, outreach to find clients and network with people and seeing who needs help and how I can help them in that way. So I need to get back on the social media train because I had to be able to do both. And that's one thing I'm constantly trying to learn, grow, and improve upon is being able to juggle both. So it's, sometimes there's ebbs and flows, and I'm trying to become more constant where the ebbs and flows are a lot less rocky than these high ups and downs. It's about consistency and discipline as opposed to surges and then burnouts and then surges and then burnouts. It's got to be a nice, consistent line across to success. So that's what we're working on. But there hasn't been a lot going on otherwise this week, thankfully, as far as craziness or anything that we can discuss here on the show. I will give an update on we talked in the previous episode, what was it, 277? I don't know, Attack in the Attic. We were talking about the potential dead animal situation going on where I got that smell and I didn't know what the hell was going on. Update, I still don't really know what's going on, but I have, with 90% confidence, ruled out a dead animal in the attic or even in the vent pipe. Now, I have to get a guy in here anyway to do a regular cleaning, like not really a roto-rooter, but they come in and they clean out your vents. And you if you don't do it for your dryer, you really should annually, because even though your lint catcher in your dryer, you clean that every day, the lint and stuff, the exhaust still gets it through the pipes and the vents and stuff, the exhaust piping. And that builds up and builds up and builds up. And if you don't pay attention, it'll get so bad that your dryer stops working. Especially the newer dryers with the sensors in there. It jacks up with the sensors and the electronics, and it doesn't pump hot air anymore. And it's also a safety thing, too. They're like, we're clogged. We can't exhaust any hot air because we're clogged up. and it becomes a problem. We had a problem in the dungeon in my parents' house with it. We thought the dryer was garbage. We thought the heat sensor was busted. We thought the dryer was a lemon. Come to find out, the pipes were clogged. And we were wondering why we had to run the dryer 3-4 times per load of laundry. So they got that fixed. It's been good to go ever since. So I also try to do that regularly. So I got to get a guy in there anyway. So if he finds an animal in there, good. He can get rid of it and we'll be good to go. But I did go up into the attic. Okay. I didn't take a picture of myself. I should have, Monday morning quarterback hindsight, I should have taken a picture, but I was geared up. I had long sleeves on, even though it's 100+ degrees up there. Because there's the insulation fiberglass, and also, could be animals up there, bugs and what have yous. Long sleeve, gloves, not dentist gloves, not medical gloves, thick, like worker gloves, construction man gloves, so I can protect myself and also get good grip on stuff and pack a punch if I needed to. Baseball bat. That was my weapon. I wasn't going to bring my gun up there because it's not easy to shoot. Okay, it's also not easy to shoot one hand while you're trying to balance on attic beams against a moving smaller animal. But you get within lethal range, I'm bopping you. I'm bopping you right on the head. Bing. And you're going down. And then once you're stunned, then I can have my way with you, so to speak. And if you're a threat, I'll bash your brains in. I don't care. I know this is not sorry, Terrence, this is not a family show topic or line of thinking and how you would go about things. But if you're a threat, if you're a rabid raccoon or something with some talons or claws, or whatever else they got down here in Texas, don't know, that could get up there in that attic, and you come within lethal range, I'm going to stun you to be able to reposition myself to where I need to be, because you never know where they're going to be coming from. If it comes from behind, I'm going to do a quick, how you doing, a twist, just to bat them down one way or the other to stun them. And then I'm going to reposition to get in the most optimal fighting position I need to be, and then I'm going to go to town, and that animal will no longer feel anything anymore. Okay, this is not going to be a torture situation, but if they're a threat, especially if they're rabid and they're trying to attack me as opposed to run away from me, it's go time. Otherwise, I was ready to stun. I had a bag. It was in my pocket. It was a garbage bag. I was going to bag it and take it outside and release it into the wild somewhere. Not near my property. You bag it. They're blindfolded to the situation. You drive out somewhere and you put them somewhere else so they hopefully don't know where they're coming back. Now, some animals are smart enough they can remember, so that's a gamble. But this guy was going to be gone if so. Or I had the bag for a potential dead animal that was stinking up the joint. Luckily, it was none of those things. They didn't even smell up there, so I knew it wasn't coming from the attic, just going down into the vent. The smell has subsided in the laundry room. It doesn't overtake you anymore. It's starting to go away now. So I don't know if it's because I'm getting used to it. I don't think that's the case, because it only happens when I run the dryer, or only happened when I ran the dryer. And now I've run the dryer recently in the past couple of days, and it's been nothing. So I don't know what's going on, but I went up there. I was scared to do it. I went up there. Oh, also I had a lantern. I had a camping lantern. It was camouflage. Had a couple different settings on there, but I purchased it when I was living in South Dakota back in the day when I did a lot of camping. And when I did hunting, you got to go out when it's dark out to set up your spot. So I had the lantern. So that's what I had. I had lantern, bat. I had a hat on, obviously, to protect the skull. I had my Oakley sunglasses on for eye protection. Long sleeve, bag in pocket, ready to rock and roll. Randy at the bottom in case the thing tried to escape. Randy will get you. The Randy will get you. And the problem with Randy is that he won't stop until he gets you when it comes to threats. Now, most of the time, he sees threats differently from me. He's doing it to squirrels that are not, I don't consider them a threat, obviously. If they're in the house, different story, but he's going until he gets it or until he realizes this thing's long gone. And most of the time, these squirrels are escaping over the fence, but Randy will run right into the fence. He's constantly cutting himself, scratching his paws on the concrete slabs that I have out there, the little paver stones, because he'll be in a dead sprint. And he's quick and he's fast. He's quick to start. He goes from 0 to 60 instantly, and he's fast and he's athletic. He could jump high. He's a sportsman. He's more athletic than I was at that age. But when he hits those paver stones, he's going so fast and aggressively. He's scratching himself. He's jumping on the fence. He's getting splinters. He's just an animal. So that's the only fear if there is a threat in the house, is that Randy will just break through walls and do whatever he has to do to get this thing, and there will be fallout. This is how war is. This is how combat is. There's fallout. There's devastation, destruction. You have, rubble. It is one of the reasons why war is hell. There are consequences. So we don't want it to get to that point. Luckily, it didn't. That's the update on that. Moving on. You guys know I like to talk about sports. I'm a sports guy. Always have been, always will be. Football is back. Okay? And this is more so a warning, a heads up to all you guys out there in the Jabroni Junction. I'm going to inadvertently provide updates on the football season, especially the NFL, as a New York Giants fan. I haven't gotten any feedback from a lot of people on how much they hate my Yankees updates. So if you do, just let me know. It's no hard feelings. I know it's not for everybody, my sports updates and me bitching and moaning about sports as a fan usually does. I would like to hear that feedback. And I'm going to try very hard to limit myself on getting overly emotional about the football season coming up. But there are two things I know for sure. One, I love football season. And two, the Giants are bad. My team is bad. And that's a recipe for the disaster, folks. Recipe for disaster. I kind of slurred there. I don't know what the hell that was. Because I'm going to watch the games. Unless I'm traveling, and then I'll listen to them on the radio most likely, but I'm going to be tuning in and watching the games. And even though I know ahead of time they're not going to be good, I'm going to get emotionally affected as if I expected them to win every game. And I continue to work on that day in and day out. It's just a difficult thing, as some of you may know. But a heads up now, I'm going to try to limit, unless you guys like sports updates for you sports fans out there. I don't know. Like I said, I haven't gotten much feedback on the Yankees side. But if you have feedback, let me know. Comment on these. Hit the hotline 202-670-1114. Whatever. But I'm giving you a heads up now. It's going to happen. Okay? And spoiler alert, most of the updates are going to be bad. Another year of bad Giants football. And they're very similar to the Yankees in that they talk this big game every year in and year out. This is the year we're going to do it. And what's crazy is that the Giants historically, obviously it's not the same success historically as the Yankees. The Yankees are the best sports franchise in history when it comes to championships. That's not a fan saying that. That's objectively speaking. That's well documented. Nobody's won 27 championships in their sport ever, except for the Yankees. So, but the Giants are up there in like the top 5 I think it's the Cowboys, the Steelers, the Patriots, maybe the 49ers, the Packers, and the Giants, I think, are like the top 6 winningest franchises in history when it comes to Super Bowl wins. Not record, not overall record, but championship wins. I think that's what it is. It's something like that. I could be missing, but they're historically good when it comes to that. Even when they weren't great, when Eli Manning took them to 2 championships in 3 years or whatever it was, 4 years, I got to see 2 Super Bowl victories by my sports team. Most football fans never get to see that in their lifetimes. So the Giants historically have been good. So there's always that inborn expectation that you have to win. And they say it and they do it too. They push that propaganda on us as well, the Giants front office. This is our year. We're coming back. We're going to be back to being a dominant force again, this and that. And then they don't do anything they need to do to actually get better. And then they sit there wondering why they stink again. They got Daniel Jones still at QB. I haven't ruled him out completely, but I've always been on the side of I don't think he's just not the guy. He's not bad, but he's just not the guy. I wish he was. I just don't see it. He's got a lot of raw talent, a strong arm, but he's not a street smart kind of guy. He never played no pads tackle football with his friends at recess ever. He looks like a trust fund athlete. And what I mean by that is rich, always rich, varsity cardigan wrapped around his shoulders, wrapped around his neck. That kind of guy. Preppy looking, Duke graduate, hoity-toity. Seems like a nice fella, but he's never been in the streets when it comes to football. He's never been in the trenches of football before. Because when he gets into precarious situations, trench guys step up. Say what you want about Eli Manning. He had trench experience. I don't know where he got it from, because you can argue he came from that preppy kind of world. But he stepped up. Trench guys step up in the clutch. Daniel Jones is not a trench guy. When shit goes south, when the sacks come, when his offensive line fails him yet again, he can't adjust. He doesn't know. He doesn't have the grit, it seems like, to get through. I hope it changes. I want it to change. I just don't see it happen. So they got that. They have an offensive line who has been historically terrible for years now. Can't figure it out. They're just, might as well put me out there. They're just absolute sieves. And this is something the Giants quarterbacks have, over the past several years, had like the highest, or the lowest amount of time, the least amount of time to throw the ball, to get rid of the ball, compared to other teams, because they have no protection ever. And I don't know what the Giants front office and recruiting guys and coaches are doing to not see that. They haven't gotten a good offense. It's been over a decade they've been like this. That's been the major complaint, and they still haven't figured it out. And they just lost their best player, Saquon Barkley, to the Eagles, a rival. So he's gone. He's going to do great things, probably win a Super Bowl with them. And they got Malik Neighbors. He's a wide receiver, supposedly pretty good. It's his first year in the league. But don't expect to get the ball a lot, Malik, when your offensive line can't protect, and Daniel Jones is going to get sacked 6, 7, 8 times a game, or have to throw these dump screen passes to whoever the running back is. And then cornerbacks, they stink. It's usually a bunch of guys who were good in high school and decent in college, but have the attitude like they're all pros and they're the best in the NFL, and they celebrate on incomplete passes they had nothing to do with, and then they give up the big plays every single time. That's the Giants' strategy. That is a Giants game right there. 7, 8 sacks. The quarterback dies. They had to put in 8 quarterbacks The Giants might hold the game close and might actually be in a lead. And then when the 2-minute warning hits, when the 2-minute drill hits, their defense shits the bed. Even if the defense was doing good all game, 2-minute drill, they shit the bed. They go to sleep. That's Giants football. I already know it's coming. And now you already know it's coming. And I'm still going to get mad. I'm already mad about it. I'm already preemptively mad about it. So I got to get better at that. But fair warning, as I try to navigate this season, there's going to be missteps. There's going to be venting and bitching and moaning here on the show. So prepare for that long winter. Anyway, moving on. I got this road trip coming up. Now, here's the thing. You're going to hear this episode, and I'm going to be done with the road trip up to New Jersey. I'm taking 2 days, 12-hour shots each day. I'm going to record on the way up, and I'm also going to record on the way back in a couple weeks, okay? I didn't do it this time because, like I said, my mind has been elsewhere. I've had work stuff to focus on. I've had preparation for this trip to focus on. I had spearhead stuff to focus on. I've had other opportunities, potential opportunities that I've been focusing on recently that I'm not talking about just yet because they're very much long shots. So my brain wasn't there. I did not post anywhere for people to send the questions in for me to answer on the road. So I'll record a road episode on the way up one of the days. But I'm looking for questions or topics you want me to talk about or anything you're interested in for the episode on the way back, which will be in a couple weeks from now. So I'll take those questions. I'll make sure I post on Instagrams and Facebooks and all that stuff to remind people if they're interested in asking a question or providing a topic idea or sending me something that I can discuss, whatever it is. I'll give you the opportunity, and then I'll let you know when I'm going to be recording that episode. It's not going to be for that episode won't drop for another month or so because it's going to be recorded on my road trip back to New Jersey, which is not coming. It's weeks from now. So I'll keep regular reminders, but this is the start. I want to start it. I wanted to initially communicate that out right now. I'm looking for questions and topics so we can have a good time. Again, I'm going to be on the run. I'm going to be driving. So I want to just be able to have a quick list of buzzwords for topics and questions that I can quick glance over. And then now I can drive and riff and we can have a good time safely and securely and talk about the nothing and find those lessons and have fun doing it and have safe fun doing it. So stay tuned for that stuff on social media. Look for it on Instagram. Look for it on Facebook. If you haven't seen it since hearing this episode, since you heard this or tuned into this episode, hit me up and let me know. You can call in with the hotline. Unfortunately, I'm going to be driving, so I'm not going to be able to play hotline calls for the road trip. But you can call on the hotline. I'll talk about the question and I'll play it on another episode. I don't know. We'll figure that out. But I do have this road trip coming up. It's up to New Jersey for a few weeks. I have a couple family things, family events we're doing, and then I'm going to be spending some time, a little nice rest and relaxation time at the Jersey Shore with my good pal. We do this every year. We try to do it every year for the past few years now. And this is what I've been training for this as well, at the gym. But what we do is Saturday, Sunday, maybe I'll get there Friday night. I don't know. I got to talk to him and find out. But Saturday, Sunday, usually right after Labor Day because it's quiet. The tourists are gone. The vacationers are gone. School has started up. But places are still open because people live down there still. It's not, it's not just a tourist town, a summer spot. We go down, we hit the beach. We usually try to get a workout in first, some sort of cardio or whatever, or any sort of workout to burn some calories. Hit the beach for a bit, and then we're riding bicycles the rest of the day, stopping at places, mainly for shit food. When I say shit food, I mean like boardwalk pizza, boardwalk bar food, but mainly ice cream. Ice cream sandwiches, waffles and ice cream. That's a big thing on the Jersey boardwalks is the Belgian waffles that they stuff ice cream in the middle. You make like a little ice cream sandwich, a big ice cream sandwich out of that. That's that's the Jersey Shore for me, right? The Jersey Shore is the boardwalk and the waffles and ice cream. That's all we do. And we hit about 3 or 4 towns down the coastline via beach bicycles, like gals in a rom-com, and we find ice cream parlors or Italian bakeries or whatever it is. That's what we're doing. So we're still sort of burning calories by riding bicycles and getting steps in and what have you, and we're working out, and I'm prepping ahead of time, diet and workout wise. So everything is going to be all above board. So I know people were concerned about our Chicago food trip that I had, and all the food we ate and the calories we took in, and how dangerous that was. We're preparing accordingly. Once again, this is what we do. If I want to enjoy my time, when I tell you my vacations and plans, it's always around food, relaxation, and food, basically. So if I want to actually enjoy that time, I know to prepare ahead of time and then also create plans for afterwards. Of like, okay, I'm going to do this on the workout and diet side beforehand. And then after, I'm going to do this and this so that it's a smooth transition in and out of vacation mode. And that there's minimal damages whatsoever. I still maintain basically peak physical form. And I get to enjoy myself. Okay? You're allowed to do that, folks. Okay? The problem people have is when they hear the idea of like cheat meals and stuff like that, they start using that as the excuse to cheat everywhere, in every aspect, any chance they get. Oh, I worked out hard today and I ate clean all day, so therefore I can eat ice cream tonight, and then they do it again the next day. Therefore, I can eat this cake tonight, and they use that as a reward. Like, oh, I went to the gym and I worked out, so now I can go and eat like garbage and whatever. No. You do the opposite, okay? On a regular basis in your daily lives, you should strive for the opposite. Your mindset should be, no, I can't eat that shit food every night because I worked out all day and I ate right all day. I don't want to ruin that. But on vacation, go ahead, get after it. But this is the big but that people miss. Prepare accordingly. Okay? You want to be able to do that stuff and minimize the negative effects and prevent backsliding into lazy dieting. Prepare accordingly. Work out a little harder, a little differently beforehand. Diet a little differently beforehand. And then adjust your workout to make sure that you're getting right back into it immediately after and your diet right after so that it's a seamless transition and it's not going to affect you in the long term. If you prepare accordingly and plan accordingly and maintain your discipline, you already have the discipline if you're doing it beforehand anyway. If you maintain that throughout, go off on your vacations. Those are vacations. Go ahead. Enjoy yourself. You're allowed to do that. You're allowed to be a lazy piece of shit every day also, but you don't want that because that shortens your life. That makes your life more difficult in the long run. You don't want that. So that's the plan for the beach for me. It's going to be mainly ice cream and Belgian waffles and a lot of exercise and a lot of relaxation. Exercise is relaxing to me. I love hitting the gym. The only thing I don't like is running, so I'm not going to be doing much running on my vacation, but the gym is part of my vacations. It always will be. Like, it's not like, oh, I don't want to go to the gym. Thank God I'm on vacation now. I don't have to work out. No, it's like, no, I get to work out every day. I enjoy the pump. I enjoy getting bigger. I enjoy striving to look like Rocky from Rocky 4. If you're looking in YouTube land, the picture up here, you can see his tight quads up there. Beautiful. So that's my plan up in Jersey. And then I have a couple of family events, and then I'm driving back. Now, I didn't fly up there because these events and things are in subsequent weekends. So it would have been a pain to have to board Randy down here, fly up, fly back, fly up, fly back, fly up, fly back 3 times in a row like that. And it would have cost an exorbitant amount of money for no reason. So now I'm just toughing out the drives, the 24 hours of travel each time, so that I can relax. So I'll work during the week. Then I'll already be up there for events, and we'll talk about the family events afterwards. And I'll let you know what they were and how they went. But all that's to say, when I come back, I want to be able to get you guys as involved as possible. So send your questions, send your comments, send your jokes, whatever it is. Let me know. Also, too, there's going to be more episodes before I drive back. So we can, if ideas pop up after those weeks, let me know. Like maybe I talked about something in a future episode and you're like, hey, I want to know more about his thoughts on that, or I disagree with that, so I want to call him out or make a joke, whatever it is, it'll come up. So this is the initial conversation. I will be posting regularly to remind people to send those questions and get that feedback in there so we can have a good time. I want you guys to continue to enjoy the show. So I want you to own that too. I want you to be like, oh, this guy talked about my question. Like, hopefully that makes you feel good a little bit. So send them in. And that's all I got today, folks. Circus act of an episode once again. Hope you liked it. Before we go, though, really quick, the big 3, the 3 pillars to staying strong and being a better, happier, kinder, healthier, more genuine human being and spreading that goodness and positivity to all those around you and throughout the land. Number 1, exercise every day. Whether it's a physical, mental, or emotional exercise, do one thing every day to improve your physical, mental, or emotional fitness and health. Number 2, the hardest one to do, don't be a shitty person, be a kind person. When the opportunity arises to be negative and shitty, whether in response to somebody or just something you see in the ether of the internets or in real life, take a deep breath, take the LPDS step back, and just remove yourself from the situation altogether. Don't even respond. Okay, it'll be very difficult at first, and it'll be frustrating that you're not saying anything because you feel the need to. Even if you think the person deserves it or whatever, remove yourself from the situation, and you'll be removing and minimizing the negativity and shit going on in this world, and you'll allow yourself the capacity and the brain space to go focus on more positive, productive things. It's very difficult to do, though. I get it. Easier said than done. Number 3, the most important one, and this should make number 2 easier a little bit for you, be genuinely thankful and grateful for all the good you have in your lives. If you take the time every day, at least a little bit of time each day, and increasing it as you go on, to actively think about good things in your lives or good people, even if it's just one thing you think about a day, one good thing, and then think about your life without that thing, you'll be putting yourself in a state of gratitude, and you'll realize, I don't want to live without that thing. I want to appreciate it while I have it, as opposed to taking it for granted. And if you do that and you couple that with not being a shitty person and you couple that with exercising every day and focusing on your physical, mental, and emotional health and wellness, I promise you guys, you'll be a better, happier, kinder, healthier, more genuine human being, and you'll be able to spread that positivity and goodness to all those around you and throughout the land. Thank you guys again for tuning in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, tell your friends and enemies. Hit that hotline, 202-670-1114. Tell your friends and enemies about that too, and they can call in whatever they want to do. Whatever questions, jokes, comments, feedback, anything. Hotline is fair game, baby. Hit that voicemail, 202-670-1114. Thank you guys again. I love you all. Stay strong.